Action.
That would account for the MiGs and the satellites.
And the blackout.
Electromagnetic pulse, a first-strike satellite weapon developed by the
Americans and Soviets during the Cold War.
And cut there. Go again.
Bond, of course, has got a marvellous mind, and she is meant to have a marvellous mind, too. There's obviously a huge respect from her point of view about him. And I suspect maybe a little from him towards her. You don't like me, Bond. You think I'm an accountant. A bean counter, more interested in my numbers than your instincts.
The thought had occurred to me.
Good. Because I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur.
Point taken.
Yesterday, which was my first day, was very, very nerve-wracking for me. I've calmed down a bit today, actually. Better today. And better still, I hope, tomorrow. But as I say, I shall never get over the excitement of being asked to do it. So, GoldenEye exists.
Yes.
Robbie Coltrane was cast to play the Russian gangster Valentin Zhukovsky.
And action.
Bond needs a favor done in Russia and knows that Valentin can fix things for him. Valentin has a limp because he has a bullet in his leg that Bond gave him. And I do get to say the immortal line when the gun comes up.
Walther PPK, 7.65 millimeter. Only 3 men I know use such a gun. I believe I've killed 2 of them. So, Mr. Bond, what is it that brings you to my neighborhood?
Working for MI6, or now we've decided to join the 21st century.
Got it?
I know work with Martin before is excellent. He's very, very tough. He knows exactly what he wants. I like directors like that. And of course, that's great for the crew, too. There's nothing worse than a director who can't explain what he wants, because everybody wants to give the director what he wants.
So secret agent, and I just laugh at you, dog. And then I go, shaken but not stirred.
Yeah, and have a good laugh about it. Come on, now, you've got to make it genuine. You've really got to go with them, right? Shaken and not stirred. Big laugh for that.
It's very nice to play a baddie. It's very nice to sit at a desk and, you know, it's a very sort of Orson Welles-y part. I like it a lot.
It's at a reception on board this ship that the villainess, Xenia, steals the Tiger helicopter which loops the loop above the harbor at Monaco.
She's a Russian ex-Soviet fighter pilot, and she sort of is involved with a group called the Janus Group, and they steal the GoldenEye, and then, you know, a lot of things happen, and she gets involved with several different characters throughout the movie, people that she has to kill or do something nasty to, because it's a pretty evil character that I play.
Very still, please. And action!
I have a small surprise from your friends back at the barracks.
It's a very bizarre character, and she's a person with extremes, and whenever somebody else would say, this is my limit, I'm not going any further, she would say, I'm gonna go full speed ahead, and she just, she doesn't have those kinds of limitations that normal people have. They're very similar in that sense that, of course, James Bond loves women, he loves to shoot guns, he loves to drive fast, and she's a woman who loves men, and she loves to drive fast and shoot guns and all that kind of stuff. The first time, actually, you see my character in the movie is the first time Bond sees her as well. She drives a red Ferrari in the mountains.
I enjoy a spirited ride as much as the next girl, Millie. Who's that?
The next girl.
And then he has his second encounter with her in a casino scene. And then she tries at some point, she tries to kill him as well. Of course, it doesn't work.
I'm alone.
Aren't we all? You're late, 007.
I had to stop in the bathroom. Ready to save the world again? After you, 006.
My character's 006, and I play a sort of secret agent that accompanies Bond on certain missions. They've got a good relationship, good teamwork, both highly trained, very professional.
I'll have him run out of here and drop. So as he's dropping, he's firing. Do you see what I mean?
I think Martin wanted us to, especially me and Pierce, to be doing his own stunts and the fights. It's good for us in a way. I mean, I always like doing my own stunts, and I enjoy it, all that business. And I know Pierce does, and I think it looks good when you can actually see, you know, you don't have to cut when, you know, you turn your head and you see it's somebody else, you know. It's good just to be able to carry the fight on, no matter which way you're looking. The audience know that it's me actually playing the part.
You're firing low. The danger is particles in the face and the eyes. So as long as you're firing low, everything being directed. So you're aiming at their stomachs.
Not over! 3, 2, 1, action! Fire!
We had a lot of fun doing it, and, you know, with all the gadgets and the sets and, you know, helicopters and cars and tanks and stuff like that. You know, it's just a much broader range of, you know, things that are happening, and just a much bigger sort of film. You know, it feels big, and it's a lot of people involved with it. And it's just, it's very exciting.
Polish-born actress Izabella Scorupco plays Natalia, a computer programmer who becomes accidentally embroiled in the world of espionage.
I think Bond girls always have been strong. It's just, I don't know, it's a trend, kind of. I think that question is always a little bit pathetic from journalists. Are you going to be stronger in this film? Because I heard that every Bond girl before every movie is saying the same thing, that my character is going to be much stronger this time. Of course we're strong. Bond women have always been strong, I think.
I play Boris Ivanovich Grishenko, who is a very difficult person to pronounce, and is a Russian computer genius who is the brains behind this evil plot to do dastardly things to the world. And this is Arecibo, this whole bit, which is where the last bit of the film takes place when the evil plan goes into action. And I'd like to also tell you about the fact that my costume is, you see, my legs are quite to the forefront of my costume. And this is because it's the 90s now, and James Bond films, they don't exploit women's bodies, they exploit men's bodies. So I'm a Bond boy, really. And I'm happy with that.
Good morning. How are you? I play Q in the Bond films. Major Geoffrey Boothroyd of the Guards. He was actually in the Guards Armour Division.
You have a license to kill,
and not break the speed limit.
Yes. And 3, 2, 1, perish!
Right, now pay attention, 007. First, your new car. BMW, agile, 5 forward gears, all points radar. Self-destruct system, and naturally, all the usual refinements.
That's good, okay. We'll print that. Presumably we can use some of these buildings as locations in themselves. Oh, definitely. I mean,
Production designer Peter Lamont found himself with an unusual problem. How to turn 1.25 million square feet of interior space into one of Europe's newest film facilities. Usually, studios offer limited room, and sets must be constructed within tight parameters. Here, space was only limited by imagination. With the signing of the deal came fleets of contractors. The brief: to turn the factory into a British studio, nicknamed Cubbywood, after Cubby Broccoli. Producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson assembled the Bond regulars, but also sought out new blood, starting with Bond himself. Months of speculation ended when 007's new identity was revealed. The mantle was finally passed to Pierce Brosnan.
I stood there and I could hear the clamour outside of the press. And everything just went into slow motion. And then they put the music on, the Bond music. And suddenly you just go, chick, 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 chick. I thought, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. I'm about to stand in front of all these people and announce to the world, you know, that I'm going to do this role. And also, hopefully, have colossal fun. There's no ghosts here. There's no ghosts of Sean. There's no ghosts of the 60s. There's no ghosts of Roger. The factory has a good feel to it. It's like a fresh, clean slate.
The film's budget was set at approximately $50 million. It sounds high, and it's certainly the largest ever for a Bond film. But in these times of escalating production costs, when a movie could cost as much as $180 million, the amount was appropriate, considering the number of overseas locations, stunts, set pieces, and special effects that would need to be created to enhance the action. GoldenEye had to feature everything fans had come to expect over the years, only more so. Hundreds of storyboard frames explained every stage of the script, detailing each scene, shot by shot.
Everything is worked out, everything is storyboarded, everything's broken down into first unit, second unit, third unit, all of the model unit, aerial unit, whatever it is, everything is planned to the final dotting of the I. And that's how we do it, really, and we hope it all kind of works in the end.
By now, on the starting line of the production, the 007 workforce had swelled to over 500 full-time staff.
I think the way that Martin and I work with Look is a much more real approach to subjects. There's a glamour to Bond, there's a joie de vivre to it all, which we tried to retain, but at the same time make it more real. I mean, there's nothing really unique in film production. I think all that happens is that films get bigger or they get more diverse. And I think the thing about this film has been the diversity of it, is the fact that it has involved second unit, it's involved model unit, and it's involved many differing locations which all have to be brought together.
You want a hand?
The thing about the earlier Bond films, I think, was their realism, the fact they were based on a character that was a rakish, devil-may-care MI5 man. He was a real person. And it was built around some experience that Ian Fleming had, so that it was all built on reality.
You always get very nervous at this point because you have a schedule which is, believe it or not, we have 18 weeks, but it's a very tight 18 weeks. In fact, any film you do is never enough time. And my last film was 12 weeks. This is 18. You would think it'd be enough, but it means the planning has to be that much more intricate and planned very, very carefully. And of course, all of any sort of effect takes time. And so the answer is confident but extremely nervous, I guess, as one always is before you just start before you start a movie. You know. But this is going to be a tough one.
You feel this is going to be daunting for you, Martin, because it's a great place to jump off here.
Yes, and I didn't really see it as daunting. You know, I think I'm probably better than most of the other directors who have done this kind of.
While Martin Campbell was shooting on one of the 6 sound stages, the model unit constructed working miniatures for the meticulously planned action sequences.
I'm Derek Meddings, and I'm in charge of all the miniature effects on the new James Bond picture. This particular shot we're doing today is the helicopter landing, and it's got to tie in with a shot that we've already done in this sort of weather where it takes off and flies away. We've got a lot of miniatures on this particular film, probably more miniatures on this than I've probably ever done on any film.
An Arctic mountainscape required a Siberian snowstorm of cat litter and self-raising flour to give it a more realistic edge.
Turn over! This shot and a lot of the other shots that we've got to do, we've got to shoot outside because we've got a sequence with Russian MiGs flying, and you can't do those inside.
I'm team leader on this project with the MiG-29s. It's 1/7 scale. That puts it at about 9 feet long and about 6 foot wingspan. It's powered by 2 model 15cc engines, and that revs at about 21,000 RPM. Gives it a top speed of about 130 miles an hour.
We have already done shots of them taking off, and it looks really very, very good.
Not all of the hardware was on such a miniature scale. Large vehicles must undergo intensive testing.
This is a T-54 tank, which we are working to do stunts and special effects in St. Petersburg in Russia. There are many modifications that we've made to this to enable us to do the stunts and the special effects and to allow us to run over cars, go through walls, and all the other spectacular things. And basically, this tank does whatever it wants.
An ordinary British Rail commuter train received the 007 makeover, transforming it into a Russian military transporter. This, the engine and its carriages, were moved by road right across England from Crewe to the studio.
All the designs were done, models have been made and approved by Martin. The whole train was then put together, painted, all the decoration was put on, and then we transported it up to the Leen Valley.
Stand by, boys. We're going to go for a take.
774, take 1.
3, 2, 1, action.
Actors up and out, please. Actors up.
This is a piton gun, very specialised gun given to Bond for a certain mission. It's the piton that goes into it.
This piton fires into a rock from the gun. It has a reel mechanism which sends a line out attached to the piton, and the reel winds him into the rock. Also has a laser attachment on the top, which, upon being activated, will burn a hole through a steel grill so he can actually get into the nerve gas plant where he has to get to.
You must keep fantasy with Bond, and not only fantasy, but pure relaxation, enjoyment. I mean, what you see on the screen is something that you don't have in this world today. You can just sit back and enjoy it. People always think of the gadgets. I mean, what is your new gadget? I mean, I know absolutely nothing about technology. I can't work a gadget. I mean, any gadget that I work goes wrong.
The next challenge was turning the studio's vast back lot into a frozen wasteland.
Here, what happens is boom, 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 boom. He hits that position there, right? Now is the trick. The plane comes into shot. Now the question is, which side of the line for the exit next? Well, he's heading for the plane.
On the French Riviera, the first unit assembled at Monte Carlo to shoot on a spectacular prop, the futuristic stealth frigate, the pride of the French Navy.
We're in Monaco. This is the beginning of the movie where Bond is at the casino.
I'm called executive producer. I'm the nuts and bolts man. Make sure that everything is put together. This is a stealth ship. She has a very low radar profile because she's mostly made of artificial materials. This is, in fact, her first overseas visit. The helicopter, which you see from here, which is on the aft deck, is the next generation of battlefield helicopter being produced by Eurocopter, and that actually won't be in service with the German and the French governments till the year 2005. They have 4 prototypes that they're in the process of testing at the moment, and we have prototype number 1, which has completed its test program. And so they lent that to us.
You cannot screw around when you're dealing with a budget this large and a picture this large and a crew this large, and you really have to get it right. Preparation is everything.
In the mountains of Taronc, high above Monte Carlo, Bond and Xenia have their first skirmish. The GoldenEye 2nd Unit headed there hoping the fine weather would hold. Moving 007 is a logistical nightmare and must be conducted like a military operation if it is to run smoothly. Luckily, many crew members were old Bond hands and knew what to expect. The British crew were mixed with an experienced local French team. Sudden bad weather halted the shooting. Heavy storm clouds instantly descended to obscure the mountain race scenes. British caterers were brought out to provide the frozen crew with the gargantuan English breakfasts that set them up for the day. This mountain-top sequence is in fact a playful scene, but there was a strong element of danger because it was played against a sheer drop of several hundred meters.
Okay, helicopter, the road should be clear now, yes?
Okay, helicopter, we are ready.
Cameras covered the action from the air, from the ground, and from a third camera car following behind. On the Caribbean island of Puerto Rico, Bond was busy raising the temperature in a romantic scene with the other new woman in his life. Then it was back to a deadly game of cat and mouse on the walkways of the world's largest radio telescope. In the 6 years that have passed since the last Bond film, computer technology has arrived to revolutionize action sequences. But the GoldenEye team decided to showcase their stunts by performing them wherever possible in camera, doing it for real.
Print that, please, darling. That's good.
Bond was also required to outmaneuver a light aircraft, which would skim inches over the top of his new company car.
Today we're shooting the sequence where the plane flies over the car and lands directly in front of it. We've been rehearsing it for the last couple of days, and it's really a question of timing. It's really critical that the plane's got to land directly in front of the car for the shot to work. The pilot of the plane is Tom Danaher. He's 71 years old, but not a day over 18, really.
Right, here we go.
The film crew's final destination provided the greatest possible contrast, as Bond went to Russia. Locations were scouted, photographs were taken pinpointing the most photogenic areas in which to shoot, and St. Petersburg was chosen as the location for a spectacular tank chase, even though the Russian authorities restricted the team's specially tuned stunt vehicles from traveling through the city at high speed. The chase and its establishing shots were handled by the second unit, and a sequence in which the tank plows across a crowded bridge shocked Russian citizens, who were unaware that brickwork and iron railings could be replaced by polystyrene and wood. At a late stage in the planning of the tank scenes, it had been decided that the main part of the Russian sequence would remain back in England. So a large section of St. Petersburg was designed and constructed from scratch in just over 6 weeks.
The decision to build St. Petersburg Street here came about because we felt that the working in St. Petersburg on the streets with tanks and all the other effects and action that we were going to have to do there in order to make the sequence work, the tank chase through the streets, would be extremely difficult to obtain the proper permissions. And once we started shooting, the roads and sewer systems throughout St. Petersburg are in such a state and condition that it may have meant that we would have stopped shooting. So we made the decision that we would build a large set here that we could do a lot of the footage of the tanks and the chases through the streets. And I think the sequence is going to be one of the most memorable ever for a Bond film.
Next, the matching interiors of St. Petersburg's buildings were shot. The arrangement of each take is laborious, and with hundreds of bullet hits to be set up for detonation, there's a lot of waiting around.
I'm waiting for a shot.
Extras were mixed with real-life military personnel for the filming of action sequences involving attacking Russian guards. Pierce Brosnan strengthened the film's realism by performing much of his own stunt work.
Running. Go over. 319, take 5. 3, 2, 1, action! Focus on Bond. As he exits the frame, we throw back to Chuckles dragging Natalia across.
That's from behind the truck, is it? He's dragging her out?
No, coming out from
out
there.
out of the building in the
Which
car
is
park.
down
the side, right? Okay,
Yeah, so there'll be
then.
masters away. That door doesn't open, of course. Oh, that'll be a fine thing, right? So we're through here, right? And so Bond will exit. As he exits, throw to them, let him blur through frame there, which will be my reverse cut. So he's kind of ducking as he comes through. Action! Come on! Come on! Come on! Got it! Good!
It was great to do, and it's wonderful when you're tested like that.
Right, Rog, how'd that look?
It'll be all right. It's a bit of a light train.
Do you want to film another one?
It's a joy.
The largest single soundstage built for the film housed the principal GoldenEye arena. These secret underground headquarters represent the main intersection of the information superhighway. The plot of GoldenEye reflects technological developments in today's world, and the set was designed accordingly with help from leading computer specialists. This sequence came toward the end of a production which had seen the director and the production team working for 110 days straight. But if the cast and crew were tiring, it didn't show.
Firing in this rehearsal.
Gun Cox.
Still no.
Stand by here. And really sharp down in. Here we go, and tighten those gaps. 3, 2, 1, action!
Thank God for earplugs. Earplugs. That's what this performance is about, earplugs.
I was required to do a perfect swallow dive off the top of this dam from 700 feet. So I physically had to hold this position while hitting really an area in space that would enable me to track away from the wall all the time, and so limit the chances of me actually hitting the wall. People would walk along the top of this dam in absolute silence, and they'd tentatively peer over and go pale at the thought, because this dam was awe-inspiring. They have a trauma clinic ready, an emergency helicopter to rush you there if it all goes wrong. And the vision that sticks in my mind is standing up there, and they've got all the cameras up to speed, and the assistant's just about to give me action. And I could see out of the corner of my eye this little Italian crane driver who looks pale with fright at the thought of what I was doing. And just as I was about to go, he does the sign of the crucifix. And, you know, you have to live with that sort of thing, and you realise that it's sometimes quite a crazy life you lead.